Hello ladies, I'm Allison, and today I'm here to talk to you about should you focus on calories or macronutrients? This is a question I've had a lot and something even I struggled with in the beginning of my fitness journey. So I'm here to give you a few tips that I think could be very helpful for you along your way. I created Pear-Shaped Fitness, which is a resource of all the tools, tips, and tricks that I wish I had when I first started my health and wellness journey. I created ebooks and audio guides, journals and diaries on Amazon.com, videos and vlogs like this, and also a blog, all dedicated to making fitness easy for busy women on the go. To learn more about me and my story, visit the links in the description down below. If you've ever cut calories but you still find that you're not getting the results that you want, maybe it's time to look at something other than calories. Let's explore this. The problem with only focusing on the big number at the top of the nutrition facts and not everything else in between is that you're not properly getting adequate nutrition, which could lead to a lack of balance in your diet. If you're struggling to reach your health and wellness goals, maybe it's time to stop looking at the calorie picture and look at the bigger picture, the macro picture. Let's see what I did there. So let's discuss calories versus macros. Calories are measurements of energy that your body receives from food, and macros are what make up calories. The macros that make up calories are proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. There are roughly 4 to 9 grams of macros in each calorie. For example, let's talk about a russet potato, one of my favorites. It has 26 grams of carbohydrates, 3 grams of protein, about 0.2 grams of fat, and those macronutrients are what make up the 110 calories that are in the potato. These 3 categories must be in balance, proteins, fats, and carbohydrates, in order for you to see the results that you want. Anytime you go on a diet that removes an entire macronutrient group like carbs, which I will show you later that it's actually impossible to cut carbs out of your diet, but anytime you remove an entire macronutrient category from your diet, you automatically create imbalance and you will have a few problems. These problems could be cravings and a lack of adequate nutrition. So let's explore each of these categories, these proteins, fats, and carbs in more detail now, to give you a more complete picture. Ladies, if losing weight, maintaining your weight, staying fuller longer, resisting the urge to overeat, building lean muscle, if any of these are your goals, focus on protein first. Proteins are the building blocks of your body. Everything in your body is made of protein. Your hair, your skin, your nails, your organs and muscles, all of these things are made from protein. I interrupt this broadcast to bring you a very important message. Pear-Shaped Fitness now has journals and notebooks on Amazon.com. A journal where you can track your food, your workouts, plan your meals for the week, plan your workouts, jot down your favorite recipe, keep track of your weight and measurements, and write down how you're feeling throughout your journey all in one place with the daily food and fitness log and the food and fitness tracker. I have also developed a self-care journal to help you stress less and become your best self, because health and fitness begins with good mental health. In each section, you will find prompts to write about how you are now and prompts to help you visualize your ideal future self. The journal is also filled with blank pages so you can write about whatever is on your mind at the time. You can find these journals and more at the Pear-Shaped Fitness store on Amazon.com, linked in the description below. That is why this should be the #1 focus of maintaining a healthy diet. The protein that you eat is transformed into amino acids, and those amino acids are broken down and distributed to build your muscles and your organs, to make hormones and antibodies, to be stored as fat or burned as energy. What's also great about protein is that protein burns fat. Having more lean muscle burns fat. Also, the way protein is digested causes your body to use more energy, which burns more calories. Protein is win-win-win. It digests more slowly than any other macro category, which causes you to feel fuller longer. So if you want to cut out having any type of cravings, focus on protein first, because you will feel fuller longer, you won't have the urge to snack, and you won't have any crazy cravings. Pure protein sources are things like chicken breast, lean fish like mahi-mahi and ahi tuna, Greek yogurt, lean ground turkey, crab, nutritional yeast, and tofu. I call these pure protein sources because they contain a very large amount of protein and hardly any other category. So hardly any fats or hardly any other carbs. Choose pure protein sources if you're trying to meet your macro count for the day and you don't want to add any other categories. You don't want to disturb your fats or your carbs. Choose these pure protein sources. Protein is usually the hardest macro for people to meet, and it is actually the most essential for maintaining a healthy diet. That's why I listed these pure protein sources so you know exactly which ones to go to meet your goal for the day. There are many other excellent sources of protein that are mixed with other macro categories. For example, edamame is almost an even split between carbs and protein. Beef is protein and fat. Now, I already know someone is going to ask me about protein powder. So most protein powders on the market have protein, almost the same amount of carbs, so be careful, and maybe a little fat as well. To learn specifically how to calculate how many of each macro you need for your body, get my audio guidebook Fit in 15 linked down in the description below. Let's move on to fats. Fat is the next macronutrient category, and they are delicious. Fats are essential for brain health, producing certain hormones, supporting your immune system, and assisting in cell division, which is essential for life. If your cells did not divide in your mother's womb, you would not be here. The human brain is 70% fat, so eating essential fats like omegas and other fatty acids can help protect your memory and brain function. So we talked about because of how your body digests protein, it burns fat, but also fat burns fat if used properly. This is why getting into a state of ketosis on the ketogenic diet can help you lose weight. I know I already said this, but do you remember fats are delicious? So certain fats like avocados, which are delicious, can really satisfy your palate and help you feel fuller for longer. You can obtain fats from sources like nuts and nut butters, olives and olive oil, coconut oil, seeds, avocados, dairy like butter and milk, yogurt, eggs, and also salmon. I put eggs and salmon in this category because fat is actually their largest macro. People think of eggs as a source of protein, but eggs have a larger fat macro than they do a protein macro. The same is also true for salmon. It also goes in this category because it contains those essential omegas and fatty acids that you need to keep your brain healthy. Fats are also the densest macro, which means they provide your body with the most energy per gram. If you watched my last video, the number one tool that you need along your health and fitness journey, I talked about a kitchen scale. And this is essential with fats, and because they are so dense, eating too many fats can blow your macro calorie count for the whole day, if not the week. For example, if you choose a snack, do not choose nuts. You've been warned. If you eat only a half a bag of nuts, you may have just consumed 52 grams of fat and 32 grams of carbohydrates without you even knowing it. A serving size of nuts is usually a handful, or of course, since we're using our kitchen scales, we're more precise than that because some people have big hands, like me. So if you're in the big hand category, use your scale and not your handful, because this handful can be half a bag of nuts and you cannot eat that many. On to carbohydrates. The most loved and most hated macro category all at the same time. This is the first one that people run to when they want to binge, and the first one people cut when they want to go on a diet. The poor carbohydrate. Do you remember the food pyramid? It was encouraged in America, and I've seen it floating around Spain recently. But the food pyramid listed bread, grains, rice, pasta as the category of food that you should eat the most of at every single meal. And remember my plate? My plate would have like a bread, grains category. That was half the plate. What? Now, where in tarnation should you eat more bread than vegetables? They didn't think that through. This was clearly wrong because shortly after that, America developed an obesity epidemic. And now you don't see any of the food pyramids and my plates floating around. Hopefully they're not still taught in schools. But carbohydrates are necessary. Some would argue that this is the main source of energy for your body. But it's the type of carb that matters, not the carb itself, and also moderating how many carbs you eat, unlike what my pyramid and my plate has told you. Remember when I told you that it was impossible to completely cut carbs from your diet? This is because vegetables are carbs, and vegetables are actually the type of carbohydrates that you should be filling your plate with at each meal. Good carbohydrate sources to fuel your body with include leafy greens, squash, potatoes, my favorite, fruits, just be careful, asparagus, mushrooms, and because I'm definitely a proponent of eating everything, choose whole grains like whole grain rice and whole grain wheat to have your pasta from, and choose legumes like chickpeas and lentils, which also fill you up and keep you fuller for longer. This list may be controversial to some because some people think potatoes are the worst thing ever and some people think they're the greatest thing in the world. I think they're the greatest thing in the world, but of course, choose whatever your body needs and choose what's best for you. Always, of course, keeping moderation in mind. So in conclusion, I'm clearly on the side of counting your macronutrients instead of counting your calories. When you are focusing on your macronutrients, you may find that you exceed your calorie count for the day, but that's okay because most likely your diet was balanced and you got all the nutrition that you needed from your meals. If you focused on protein first and then ate the best sources of fats and carbohydrates, then your body is adequately nourished and you can feel great about exceeding your calorie count for the day. However, if you only focused on calories, and even if you only ate 1,200 calories in a day, but those calories all came from carbohydrates, then you've missed the mark. This type of eating is unhealthy and unsustainable, and your body is probably not adequately nourished. Take a look at what you eat each day and see where you can make some adjustments. It's also very beneficial to think of your food as going into one of three categories: protein, fats, or carbs. Now, of course, like we talked about with the protein, some foods contain a mix of each macro, and that's fine. The point is for you to balance your macros so that you can receive adequate nutrition at each meal and each day. Get my audio guidebook Fit in 15 if you want to learn how to specifically calculate the macros that you need for your body and your goals. And check out my blog post that inspired this video at the link in the description below for more information. You can refer back to the list of the sources that I've mentioned throughout this video, or I created a list of the best sources of proteins, fats, and carbohydrates that you can have absolutely free, linked down in the description below. Do you focus on your calories or your macronutrients? Let me know. Let's discuss in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you want to learn specifically how to calculate to learn specifically how many, oh my god, but eggs has a larger fat, eggs have. Eating a bag of nut. No! Timber.